Hi guys, welcome back to the Tech Room podcast. This is yet another episode with a very insightful, amazing, brilliant guest. So we're going to do it differently this time. I'm going to be the one introducing him because usually we let the guest speak for himself, but I'll try. Ukiona nimeanza kusema vitu hujafanya, unanikataza. So our guest today is called Derrick Gaku. One word I'd use to describe you is a visionary. So he's a founder of Syscom, a company that builds the tools and systems that African startups need to grow without high infrastructure costs. Before that, he was a founding member for Payless Africa, which is a fintech company that showed that we don't need Western models to succeed. He champions for innovation in digital payments, tailored for Africa's youth and informal economy. His focus areas are building products, building infrastructure, and growing talent. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Derrick Gaku.
Absolutely, thank you.
Welcome to our podcast. So, ni nini sijasema yenye unafanyanga? Probably you're like a Batman at night.
Okay, so away from, envisioning big things for Africa, I'm a very outdoor guy. I did Mount Kenya last year. So, of course, I had a couple of mountains that were built up for that. I did the summit. I love hiking. I love outdoor camping stuff, cabin. Where I just disconnect from everyday, stress and just retreat, reconnect, refresh, reset, rethink. I'm also I cycle as well, just to keep up on cardio. I used to work out. Nowadays I'm just maintain.
Unpopular opinion, I had someone saying cardio is better than people who do cardio are better than people who go to the gym and lift weights. What do you think? There's an extent, but you see, at the end of the day, it's just people's goals. As an example, marathoners have very different goals. It just doesn't mean that they're necessarily more healthier than people who work out. But I try to be a bit of both. That's why I do cycling outdoor. Then at the same time, I still do a bit of workouts. Okay. So that's why you're being political, because you do both. Okay.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so jumping right into it. So today we're going to talk about investing in tech, future of AI, and a little bit of how to grow talent in the tech industry. So my first question is, I saw you posted something on your LinkedIn about how Africa must be a tech producer, not just a consumer. So how do we go about achieving that?
Yeah, that's the reality. The other day I was just walking through, I was walking devs, we had hosted devs at our space, at our creator space, 1% Cloud Zone at Nafasi. And I was just walking through the challenges and the economic issues with consuming tech. So I asked him, okay, so if you were to take an Uber from Mpaka Road to Westgate, practically it was 100 bob. Okay, so I started breaking down how that 100 bob leaves the economy, right? So 100 bob is the cost of that ride. 25% of that ride is the platform fees that transaction is going to pay to Uber for just using the Uber platform. So it means just in a flash, 25 shillings has left the country because that 25 bob belongs to Uber. Guy has remained with 75 bob, right? The driver has remained with 75 bob. So let's say the infrastructure for on-demand Uber, the cab delivery is the vehicle, right? So if let's say the guy is financing that car, they're probably paying between 35 bob to 45 bob to refinance that car. The car is Japanese, probably, mostly, right? So 45%, if you reverse engineer, has left, it was going to another region of the world, which is Japan. Now we're remaining with roughly 25 shillings. 5 shillings is platform fees to most of the mobile money providers are, 40%, 35 to 40% foreign owned. So a huge chunk of that is leaving. And let's say if they're using infrastructure that is global infrastructure,
they're also paying for that.
Big percentage has left.
Yeah.
This guy has remained with roughly 15 bob. He's going to be fueling at which petrol station? Shell, Rubbish, Total, which is global conglomerate is in oil industry. So another 5 to 7 bob has left. So whatever really remains in the market is less than 10 shillings. That's just the problem of consuming tech. And you can see the countries and the companies that own these technology companies, how powerful they are. If you look at the most valuable companies today, as a matter of fact, I usually say if Africa was a technology company in the US, it would probably be number 6 in terms of valuation. Because you see, number 1 is Nvidia, $4 trillion. 2 is Microsoft, $3.7 trillion. 3 is Oracle. 4 is Tesla. Africa with its combined 54 countries, $2.7 trillion. Number 6 as a tech company.
Yeah.
Right. You've not even talked about the economies themselves.
Yeah.
So that's the problem of consuming tech, and we consume a lot of tech.
Yes.
Right, especially the new generation, digitized generation, phones, content, social media. None of that is locally made. So it means the value on those platforms is actually not local.
Yeah.
Local as well. So that has to, inspire a new generation of people, not necessarily to outdo. We can learn from those models, but we can build technology that actually creates opportunity. Here, one of the things that I've always told, younger junior devs when I meet them, is you guys have the tools, you have the power to be able to build amazing cool tech that can actually, number 1, solve for realities of Africa. Because remember, someone was saying, if you're building the next Uber, you're building the next Microsoft, the next Amazon, you're probably going to fail. Because these are the companies that just happen at the adjunct of internet. These are problems of 20 years ago. And these are problems of developed markets. They're not problems of Africa. The problems of Africa are there, food security is a problem. Can we build solutions around market intelligence? Public sector, access to government services. Those are realities. Education, how can we make it affordable and accessible? Healthcare has to be universal. How can we bring technology to those spaces? Energy is still a challenge. Access to energy for a lot of households is still a challenge. How can we innovate around that? Innovation and industry. How can we grow our economies using new models of thinking, new technologies? Because they become equalizing factor. And that, again, why I said I'm very passionate about technology is the only thing actually you can build today and wake up tomorrow, and it's widespread. If you're building a traditional business, like let's say you are not going to be the next Coca-Cola in the next 2 years, because you can imagine the level of sophistication and the logistics, how it looks like, right? To just achieve last mile, you will meet trucks taking that soda there. But I built payments. We had 0 customer early 2024. We launched mid 2024. 2 months later, we were crossing 100,000. That's just the power of tech. Like, you can build a really good platform, and tomorrow you'll have 10,000 customers, 100,000 customers, 1 million customers, because the distribution has changed. The distribution for tech is not physical shops, it's not physical branches, it's just the mobile phone. And mobile phone, in the year 2030, we'll have around 1.2 billion people in Africa having mobile phones. So these are the things that challenge me. They become a rallying call, and the rallying call is, let us build in our own small ways for our own realities, technology that can actually solve our problems but can create value. But for that to happen, remember the Ubers of this world, Tesla, Apple, Meta, they were coming from sort of Silicon Valley. It's an ecosystem. It's an ecosystem of capital. It's an ecosystem of policy. It's an ecosystem of technology. It's an ecosystem of people. Then an ecosystem of markets. So now those ecosystems are what we lack, right? That is why my passion and what we do at Syscom is where we say we're doing the boring stuff. We're building the roads, the rails, the airports, the infrastructure that will open up new markets.
Okay. It's interesting talking about distribution, because I don't think adoption of technology is ever a problem when it comes to the people. I saw the other day Kenya was ranked number 1 at ChatGPT users in the world, and it's crazy. So you create that technology, find a problem, then get a solution, and you'll get the numbers. So when you're looking at, say for example, someone has a startup and they're looking for investment, and you're sitting on the investor side, what are some of these things that you look for in a product or in a system that will be like, this is worth betting on?
Okay, even before we get to that point, we at Syscom, we do, we are innovating we're building product innovation around investments in technology. Because the truth is, capital in Kenya and across Africa is not flowing to technology. If you look at capital deployment in this continent, you will see it move a lot into traditional industries that has less return on investment. So these traditional industries are going to be, typically if you meet a person in Nairobi and ask them, where are you going to put your money? They're going to be saying, I'm going to put my money in land, real estate, traditional financial products like MMFs and all these things. They are going to be, those things. The shift is very different in those ecosystems that I spoke about. Silicon Valley, everyone is driving capital to startups. Is driving capital to technology. Because like I said, technology has the ability to scale and scale really fast. Okay, so I'm also looking at, how do we inspire by using a model, because our model is asset backed with the digital infrastructure, which is a lot of hard work we're doing to just train Kenyans to understand digital infrastructure. Because most guys have never been to a data center. They don't understand how you actually exchange data on your phone and the infrastructure behind it that enables that. So as an example, if you're watching Netflix, which is something people watch in the household a lot, that content is produced in a different region of the world, which is the US. But how is it possible that it gets to you in real time? These guys have massive data centers, right? That's where the data is being processed. That's where the data is being transmitted. Now, digital infrastructure begins that way. Data centers, high performance servers or storage servers that process and store this data. Now, for that data to get all the way to your phone, or your household, we have the global undersea fiber cable providers. I know Kenyans know this term, fiber cuts, undersea fiber cuts.
Zile za wale wenye walishikatia wakatuzimia.
They know that one. So this is global. These are global providers, the likes of Seacom, the likes of Orange. These are the guys that carry that data. Because actually data flows the same way oil flows. It has to come from somewhere. It flows like through a pipeline. So the big undersea cables carry them. You have the internet exchange protocols like the London Exchange, Kenya Exchange. They come all the way to the coast. Now from the coast, now you have local carriers that carry that. So you have local data centers. In Kenya, as an example, you have we have five or four tier 3 data centers. Africa Data Center, ICOLO, Pikes, IX Africa, where we co-locate. You have the likes of, now Konza Data Center, and all that. So those are the guys who locally process that data, fulfill requests, data exchange, transmission, all those things. Now, if Netflix has a CDN in Kenya, it's going to be your local carrier who brings it all the way to you. So if you're using a mobile phone, you'll probably be on Safaricom, Airtel, or Telcom. So they're giving you that access, that data through radio and their network masts. But if you're watching at home using the router, then it's either Safaricom that has carried it or the local ISPs, the last mile ISPs like Wananchi Group, all these things. So all these guys are the players in that digital infrastructure. Now, even if you study that back end, you realize actually majorly foreign owned. But it's real estate. It's just like roads. So our job is to really excite, educate, empower Kenyans to understand that back end and look at it as actually an asset-backed investment opportunity that is necessary, because the next generation, it's going to be a lot more online, a lot more remote, and there's going to be a lot of new cool technologies, a lot of new cool ideas that need to be consumed. So the people who carry that are the railway builders, the road builders in the traditional infrastructure context, and we believe that Kenyans and Kenyan institutional investors, Kenyan banks, should be able to have a part of that. Anyway, so that is just one model, right? So once you build the infrastructure, we need people to build cool products on that infrastructure, because now you have a local availability zone. It's plug and play, it's affordable, it's built in Kenya shillings, not global cloud, right? So now you have people who build those solutions. Now that's forms the second basis of funding. So the people who build these cool solutions are called startups, right? And for them to be able to build, prove the idea, because it's a complete SDLC, right? They need to do all these things. They need to incorporate, they need to build teams, they need spaces to operate from, they need to take products to market, they need to pilot up until they have traction. And that phase is usually where what Americans call financing early stage, which is also just financing risk. But the more you finance risk, the more you're going to have success stories. So now we are really encouraging, we're saying, okay, by the way, you can pursue things like crowdfunding. How can we look at something like crowdfunding to really build a capital base for startups? Because the other reality is, and this is just a capital conversation, right? The excess or surplus capital is in the global north, and that is not rocket science. Those countries are advanced. They have better industries, they have better sectors, they have better jobs, right? And not only do they have opportunity, but they also have the demographic aspect that favor them to have more capital, and that is they have more older people in their generation. So like an average age of Europe is like about 50 to 55. So if you have a lot of 50 to 55-year-olds in your country, you definitely have a lot of savings. Right? There's so much
that's
money.
convinced to invest in
and those countries like now, Switzerland, all these guys, they even have near zero interest rates, because there's so much. Economics is very basic, supply and demand. So these guys have so much supply, the demand is low, so nobody wants the capital. So what do banks do? They can't guarantee those interests, because where they deploy the capital. Now if you come to Africa, it is the complete opposite. Average age,
especially
21.
in Kenya, I heard is 19, 20.
Kenya is like 20, Uganda is 19.
Which 20-year-old is investing?
It's 19, right? If you look at the youngest country in the world is Chad, which is in Africa, 14 years, right?
It's 14 years.
14. So if the average age of Africa is between 20 to 22, it means you have now people, you have the demographic advantage for demand. Because these guys are demanding technology, they're demanding housing, they're demanding food, they have a long way to go. But the one thing they don't have is capital. So what then does innovation play? Innovation means you have to build products that can intimidate capital from the north to the south. Because why is it that a typical Swiss, Norwegian, the British person is not likely to invest in Africa? Because he's looking at Africa as a risk. Right? So innovation means you have platforms that intimidate and reduce the risk. And that's what Syscom Capital, the platform does, for example.
It's
the risk and we empower someone to understand industries that are more likely to increase, to have multiply effect on capital. Right? And then you see this capital sits here, it's not meeting the demand because these two people are not speaking. Now, how do you again take advantage of technology to be able to intermediate capital? So that is where, like I said, crowdfunding platforms that list startups that are raising, what they're raising, the details about those platforms. It is necessary. It is very important because we need to finance mistakes. Because through mistakes, we'll have success stories. But we have to, most importantly, find innovative tech-driven ways to, first of all, intermediate capital from the places that have it, and that can mean those people as well as Kenyans working in those markets, Kenyans and diaspora. Have this capital platform then that de-risk the startups. So guys who can understand valuation, guys who can understand the financial of these startups, the opportunity, the potential of what they're doing, then they have this capital meet and be administered. That is the only practical ways I see us being able to finance the next wave of startups. And then having governments and banks sitting between there to incentivize or create guarantees that can finance, because the more they finance, the more they're going to have their next big customers.
You've actually answered the next question I was to ask, because I wanted to ask, like, what is missing in this ecosystem? But you've answered it. So when it comes to building solutions for Africa, we usually talk about how we are supposed to create our own solutions, which is true. But are we being hyper-focused on just being local and forgetting to build solutions that can compete on a global scale?
Facebook, which is one of the biggest success stories of social media. It started as hyper-local.
Yeah. For like a small.
So they never thought, those guys never thought that they'd be global.
Yeah.
But they started as a university thing. So what am I trying to say? First of all, solve hyperlocal problems. Solve the problems fast. Before you go solving problems for neighbors, solve the problems that you have.
Yeah.
Then, actually, it's usually never planned. It's just that products, naturally evolve. As your product is being used, it will naturally evolve and start to find use cases in the next country, in the next region, in the next continent. Right? But if you set out today and you say, I want to build a product for the world, you're going to fail terribly. Because even when you set up today and you say you're going to build a product for Africa, what is Africa? There's 54 countries that have very different orientations, thinking, and all these things. Make the product for think big. Make the product for Kenya. Have your eyes focused. That's why usually in startups, and just to highlight what you said about investing in startups, you have to understand what can they realistically achieve long term.
So still speaking about products and scalability. Now you might find someone built a product or a solution for the Kenyan market, and they're trying to crack into not even going to other continents, just going down here in Tanzania or in Uganda. Like what is some of the obstacles or barriers that people face when it comes to scaling?
Yeah, and honestly...
And how can we solve that?
Africa is very poor. Africa is very poor in so many ways, man.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know if it's by design, I don't just get it. Because we don't have open protocols for cross-border, doing anything cross-border. The next country will be fighting homegrown solutions, and they'll be saying they're protecting their own markets. But they don't realize that Kenya is where it is because we've invited a lot of Silicon Valley guys here.
Yeah.
The last wave of the hyper growth of startups in Nairobi was actually white-founded startups. It wasn't Kenya, but we learned from them on how to do. We worked in those companies, we worked with those guys, we were able to look at their thinking.
Yeah.
Because you cannot be what you've not experienced. Right? Exposure is very important. So I think that's why I say the ecosystems are very important.
Yeah.
And these are the things that we need to remind leaders at continental level about. Let them just create an environment where a successful product in Kenya can scale in a new market like Tanzania. Because as a founder or as a tech company, you're dealing with the regulation, complex regulation, especially if you build in fintech. It will take like almost 3 years to just scale a product in a new market, really.
Yeah.
Yet guys are doing 3 months in Singapore, incorporating their companies in Singapore and getting regulated and compliant. The compliance, the other element is currency, right? The other element is just gatekeeping, right? The other element is talent.
Yeah.
So as much as you see there's a saturation of talent in Kenya, you might not find the same level of talent in a new market.
Yeah.
Right? There's so many things, but how about at the continental level, they start to see this as opportunity and leveraging on what someone else has. So as an example, there's so many fintechs in Nigeria. Okay? Yeah. There's so many fintechs in Nigeria. Right? Even if you go to...
and that's an understatement.
If you go to a Kenyan Tech Summit or an African Tech Summit, even if it's happening in Nairobi, you'll still find the guys on the floor. So many of them
60% Nigerians.
It means there's something they're seeing continent-wide that is really good. So instead of trying to build something that competes with them, how about, let's say, Kenya can pick up a different problem. Like we can say, for example, as we solve e-commerce, we really good e-commerce, or as we just do infrastructure, because we have the shore where we can tap into the global infrastructure of undersea cables and all these things. We can just be the infrastructure powerhouse. Then these guys can deploy these solutions because they want to serve these markets. Or we can say Tanzania is a very big country, arable, so they can produce so much food. How about Tanzania becomes the hotbed of agricultural startups, because that's something they're good at, right? You go to DRC, they have some of the best metals and all these things. As an example, you find the outcome of cobalt in a lot of electric vehicles because of the batteries and the solars and a lot of phones. How about they be the hardware? They be like the China of Kenya. We actually build hardware, we build servers, we build batteries, we have assembly plants, right? So then you stop looking at, this Kenyan solution is coming to destroy us or compete with us.
Let's create our own.
And you start to look at, how can we integrate with this guy? They have a problem they're solving, us we have a problem we're solving, we create an ecosystem. So those are just been my thoughts.
I love that idea. Everyone is doing something different, then we can come together. Okay. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm learning new things. Anyway, so my last question. I feel like I can guess your answer, but if what mindset or skills do, say, young developers need to get or be in order to be relevant in this fast-moving tech industry, like next 5 years, 10 years, and also make good money from it?
Like I said, I'm not very technical, but I'll try to answer it from a point of hiring and a person who's trying to build an ecosystem around devs. Because I believe the technical ecosystem in Kenya is genuinely lacking exposure. I'll tell you why. Like I said, countries are very good at something. I spent a lot of time in India when we were building payments. And I was trying to understand why does India have excess supply of very good engineers and very good developers. I realized, again, it's not by chance, it's by design. So they have this, as an example, they have this huge program called IIT. And IITs actually exist in every state of India, Bangalore, Delhi, all these places. IITs are Institute of India Technology. They are very prestigious. They only take 5,000 admissions every year. Now think of a market with 1.4 billion people. Then you only take 5,000. It's like cream de la cream. But you can see the outcome. The outcome has been that even the global West, big India, big tech companies in the West, the top guys are Indians. Microsoft, Google, first generation, second generation Indians. The software people there are Indians. Now, because of these programs, and that competitiveness, India is actually home to one of the biggest GCCs. And GCCs are global capability centers. So global capability centers are where big tech actually outsources talent from India, but not only does that, they actually go and set up a whole business unit there, take up space and say this is our development center, it's in India. So some of these big GCCs are in Hyderabad, and the Hyderabad GCCs service Microsoft, they service the big tech. So what does that mean? It means the talent in India, not only is it very competitive, but they're also exposed to Western tech. So these guys are exposed to big tech, to work in complex teams, global thinking, and whatnot. Right? Now, if you come here, you have this booming tech talent, especially Gen Z is supposed to be been born in tech. There's now the likes of the Moringa, Alex, these programs that are equipping them with technology skills, but the gap is exposure. So where do they work? There's no tech companies for them to work in. And remember, the American tech companies that are providing GCCs, if you refer to what I said back, it was ecosystem. They're coming from Silicon Valley, an ecosystem that is supported. So the gap, even for talent, is still expanding tech companies in Kenya. Because if you had just even 100 big tech or medium tech companies in Kenya, each employing, let's say, 1,000 devs, that is already 100,000. on 100,000 tech people that are building global, relevant, that are working in teams, they are having soft skills, hard skills, they're being exposed to projects. So I feel like this pipeline where you have graduates of technology, but still the startup ecosystem where tech companies are supposed to be incubated and become big is not there. So what happens? You have your tech degree, your tech certification, you'll end up probably working in a non-tech company or tech that is minimal on company that is minimal on tech. So always lack the exposure, right? So what we're trying to do is that we're actually now looking at, okay, how do we, because we're actually driven by three things at Cisco: capital, technology, and people. So for the people, we are working to build a platform where they can actually collaborate on local projects as well as global projects in Singapore, Hong Kong, these markets, but with those projects being deployed on our infrastructure. Okay, but in that way, they can actually start to collaborate with global teams. We have a global partner called Mkuso. Mkuso is a GCC based in Hyderabad. So we're also looking at when they do global projects, how do we bid for, let's say, 30% of that to be our Kenyan guys, and they work 100% remote. But the point is they start to integrate into global teams and start to have that global perspective, because exposure is very important.
Okay. Apart from Cisco, what other solutions can we, like, is it us, the people who are supposed to come up and help this ecosystem? Is it the government? Is it the private sector? Who is supposed to be solving this problem?
Ecosystem.
Who's the ecosystem?
As you can see,
again,
capital, technology, people, then ecosystem.
Okay.
Capital, the people in the capital.
Yeah.
The capital is in the banks, investment banks, institutional investors, private capital, high net worth individuals, family offices. Those guys, where are they investing?
Yeah.
That's a question we need to ask. And how can the ecosystem encourage them to start to invest in tech, to start to diversify? So let's say if a guy has a portfolio in retail chains, then a bit of portfolio in real estate, maybe in transport. How can their next choice of where to diversify become tech? Because then you have to oversupply capital in this industry, so that now that is picked up by the people build. Now, when the people build have the funding, you will see that the evolution will automatically place everywhere where they need to be. Because once you build a solution, it's a fintech solution, it means you need regulation. So government has to come in and create policy that is adaptive. So you can't have policy that is working for a big bank. It will never work for a small guy. As an example, when we were building fintech, I kept asking myself, why does everyone build their own siloed solution? Like, you have to build everything from scratch. Yet a lot of fintech use cases can be built by even people that are not fintech. So as an example, let's say you have an e-commerce platform. Okay, they have a lot of critical mass. They might want to be like Amazon, and they create Amazon Pay. Just to enable the customers, transact, buy their goods. At the same time, layer on products like BNPL, checkout financing, all these things. But if policy or the ecosystem is not there, this guy has to now do everything like a fintech. They're not a fintech, they're just a use case of fintech. They need to find an environment where they can layer on top, right? So you'll see policy, you'll see enablement. How can government inspire the next generation of technology solutions? China has an AI fund that is in trillions, and it's a government-backed fund that invests in early ideas for AI. Why can't we have a fund in Kenya that actually directly funds ecosystems and funds ideas, but at the same time, it also incentivizes investors who invest there, where like it's matching capital. People might not know this, but the early stories of mobile money were matching capital from the parent company and the British government. So like such models. Now, beyond that, again, like I said about the data conversation, how can big companies work with builders? In this market, a lot of big company, startup, open innovation conversations always are lost in NDAs and emails with nothing concrete being delivered. How can they be intentional about working together? Because a big company brings legacy, brings structure, compliance to the table. A startup brings agile, new ways of thinking and speed. You merge these two together, you have rocket fuel, right? So it will still, everyone has a role to play, right? And then most importantly, how can Kenyan customers start to trust and consume Kenyan tech? Like it's something that baffles me. Like, as an example, we are building very early stage on digital infrastructure investing, and you're speaking to a guy and they're telling you they are buying Tesla stock. They're buying Nvidia stock. Yet you have because investment is investment. Whether you decide to farm, whether you decide to buy a vehicle, a matatu, you're just doing, whether stocks, you're just doing investing. Investing is investing. So how can we start to trust, local homegrown solutions? Right? I'm sure there's so many solutions, tech solutions in this market. And this is something I like India, because I always think of India as work in progress. They have very interesting policies in their manufacturing industry. And just a basic one is automobiles, magari. So if you look at the cars on the road in India, you're like, imagine this is work in progress. Like it's not work. They're ugly. There's not the posh used cars in Kenya. In fact, they don't have a used car market, and they have crazy incentives on importation of cars in that country because they want to support their own industries. The Tatas, the Mahindra, the Maruti. Well, those cars look ugly.
They're driving.
But now you see, it is their own. They are creating value in the ecosystem. They are encouraging their people to consume their own products. So you can see that the cars there that were built last 5 years, and the cars that are being built now are so cool. They are autonomous. They have those functionalities. Because you see the tech is improving. And that's just how naturally, if you look at the first Ford car, it's not the Ford you see today. It has to have that evolution. So the customers, the people also have to support local ideas. And that's not to give an excuse for bad products. But you do not despise your baby because he tried to take the first step then fell. It's a natural process. So the more they use these local solutions, the more they use these local products from Kenya, the more you provide the builders with those products with traction, proof of concept to continue building.
Well said. So support KE.
Absolutely.
So what is capitalized?
Yes, because it is hosted at the Capital Club. And the thing that I saw there is that people are trying to capitalize on something. They don't capitalize on the network,
creative.
All these things. So capitalize is a conversation about capitalizing on certain aspects, trends, and technologies. So the last time it was capitalized African age of AI. So how can you capitalize on AI? They will have a conversation around digital infrastructure. So it will be capitalized digital infrastructure. How can you capitalize? How can you drive capital? How can you capitalize or make something out of the growing digital infrastructure? And so because everything for us is about capitalism. So capitalize on something, whether it's a network, whether it's a technology, whether it's information, whether it's information asymmetry, whether it's a connection, it's a partnership. That's the basis for capitalized.
When is it happening?
So usually we do the first Friday.
First Friday of every month.
First Friday of every month, yes. We serve very good buffet breakfast because it's a very early morning thing. It means by the time you show up there at 7 a.m., you're very intentional about what you want to capitalize on. Yes.
So thank you very much for joining us today. This conversation was very enlightening, and I'd love to hear more because I feel like you have a lot more to say. And thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. We need more of these conversations, and hopefully they can inspire the next generation of builders.
Yes. So guys, till next time, watch us on YouTube, listen us on Spotify, and follow us on all social media platforms. Bye-bye.